Welcome to this latest edition of the Ril Dil podcast. I'm your host, Ril Gerald Quinn, recording this on a Wednesday, the 12th of November, 2025. Hope everybody out there enjoyed their Veterans Day. Hopefully, you got a day off. Certainly, we are obviously in awe and respectful and just grateful for just the incredible work and dedication that our veterans provide and protection they provide for us and have provided for us over the course of history and continue to provide for us all over the world. Just all the respect to our veterans, and hope you're a veteran out there. Certainly, I salute you for all that you do and all that you have done and will continue to do. Um, this is, of course, episode 1026. We saw this coming. We'll talk about that certainly as we jump into the program. As always, you can find this podcast anywhere where podcasts are available. And also you can go to my YouTube channel as well. I'm going to post that. We'll put that up on my Instagram to check it out. We're going to do shift gears a bit when some groundbreaking news happens, and it tends to happen in the NBA. Normally, of course, we kick off with game of the week, but yesterday, of course, Nico Harrison was relieved of duties as the general manager of the Dallas Mavericks. Just 9 months after he made one of the more shocking and just insane trades of in NBA history, maybe even in sports history, to be honest with you, with the way that this thing has a chance to play out, trading future Hall of Famer and one of the best players in the NBA, and Luka Doncic, who is destroying the NBA right now and has returned back to his All NBA MVP caliber self as a Los Angeles Laker. Thank you, Nico. Again, I can never thank Nico enough for, in essence, saving the Los Angeles Lakers franchise. Certainly when LeBron decides that whenever he decides to hang him up. Um, so in the intro, Michael Finley and Matt Riccardi will lead basketball operations until they get a permanent uh replacement. Probably won't happen until the end of the year. Um, this was one of the more predictable outcomes. One of the most predictable outcomes that you will ever see, in my opinion. When that trade was made, that was basically the proverbial nail in Nico Harrison's career coffin. Um, it's amazing. Like, there were people out there outside of Nico Harrison that actually were trying to justify this trade. Uh, and it there was no justification for this trade. There was no rationalization for this trade. There was nothing that anybody could say that would convince me that this move should have been made. Um, I think that if you're the Dallas Mavericks, Patrick Dumont, the owner who bought the Mavericks from Mark Cuban a couple years ago, to me has to be number one in terms of the blame as far as this goes. He's the owner. He signed off on this. He allowed Nico Harrison to do this. Nico Harrison, of course, took the bullets, and I'm sure there was a conversation between the two before this trade was made that went along the lines of, hey, Nico, I support you with this. You don't believe this guy's a supermax player based off his conditioning and work habits and attitude and blah blah blah. But if this goes wrong, I'm not going to fire myself. So I'm sure that yeah. So I'm sure that conversation took place. I'm sure that conversation took place. Um, Nico Harrison's career as a in any front office capacity in the NBA is over. This is a black mark that you just cannot erase. You just like you it's over. And I again, don't wish any ill will on anybody. He has a family. He has this is a guy's career, livelihood. But the bottom line is, there are some things that you cannot come back from on a professional. Like he's not going to come back from this and work in the NBA again in the capacity of a front office position. It's just not going to happen. Um, Dallas, if you're Dallas, you don't control any of your first round picks from 2027 to at minimum 2030. So, that's 4 years where you don't have any control of your first round picks. Um, Dallas right now has a chance to have a fresh start, and they were fortunate to land a player in the likes of Cooper Flag that I believe can be a franchise caliber player. I'm not going that route of a best player on a championship team or a guy who's going to be go to the Hall of Fame. Let's calm down on that. But this guy has the potential to be a franchise player. You can build around that guy. He's only 18 years old. Had an excellent game against Milwaukee. Went at Giannis in the fourth quarter. Almost hit the game-winning shot late in the game, going directly over Giannis. So we know how talented he is. And again, only 18 years old, so he's only going to get better. Um, I would go all in on building around him. That means moving Anthony Davis. If that means moving Daniel Gafford, um, so be it. Like I would be all in on moving some of these veteran pieces, Klay Thompson included, who's been horrible this year, to say the least. And I think if you're Dallas, this is a time to start over. And you have the most important piece of a potential franchise player. You have the perfect player to start over with. This idea that you can compete this year, that's just completely that is a pipe dream. It's not going to happen. We don't even know when Kyrie Irving's going to come back. Anthony Davis cannot stay on the floor. When Anthony Davis does return, you need to hopefully have him stay healthy long enough to where he can build up some value to where you can at least get, 70 cents off the dollar for Anthony Davis and then go about and transition out of this phase of the franchise. This idea, again, it was never going to happen that all those guys were going to stay healthy. So that both of those, that either one of those guys were going to be consistently healthy for Dallas to compete for a championship. Anthony Davis and Kyrie Irving are on the wrong side of 30. They both have been injury prone throughout the course of their careers, and they is no surprise. It should have been even expected that both of them were going to be hurt at some point, if not one of them, if not both of them, at least one of them. And it turns out right now it's both of them. And you feel bad for Kyrie from a standpoint that he really helped the team get to the finals in 2024. Had really was playing some great basketball, some of the best basketball of his career as a leader, even improving as a defender. So I hope he gets back as soon as possible because we still I love watching Kyrie play and compete at the highest level. But the bottom line is, he has had a problem staying on the court, and this has been the one of the things that's plagued him throughout the course of his career. Um, Again, if you're Dallas, it's nothing wrong with starting over, especially when you have a franchise caliber player. And this is something that, listen, this was part one of the cleansing pop process. Nico Harrison had to go. You could not deal with this type of energy that it got like just visceral hate for this guy, even going beyond the fire Nico chants and things of that nature. I mean, I believe there were some threats made this past even in the last season. It just got very ugly to say the least. So this is the best possible outcome for Nico Harrison, the best possible outcome for the Dallas Mavericks. To be honest with you, this thing was never going to work out. it had zero chance of working out. And now everybody can move on, um, especially Dallas. And now all eyeballs are going to be on Patrick Dumont moving forward. So Patrick Dumont, um, how he moves as an owner, what he learned from his mistakes. Um, Again, it is it's not hard to believe, but it's difficult to believe that somebody didn't get a hold of Patrick Demont and say you can't trade a generational 25-year-old guy who's one of the top three players in basketball. Like we don't those guys don't grow on trees. Those guys are once in come along once every 15 to 20 years. So even from a business standpoint, it made no sense. Like the Dallas Maverick value has decreased since that trade was made. It's not what it was. It's still high, but not what it once was with Luka Doncic as a member of the franchise. But these new owners have to learn the hard way at times. You see Matt Ishbia in Phoenix learning the hard way, and Patrick Dumont has to learn the hard way as well. Shift gears to the NFL. Game of the week, and there were a number of close games this week, some very good games, but this to me was the game played at the highest level as far as two championship caliber defenses going tit for tat. Green Bay Eagles survive, get a well deserved win against the Green Bay Packers 10-7. Both teams were under 300 yards total offense. This game was dominated by both defenses. Both defenses were simply spectacular. You had obviously the biggest play was made by Devontae Smith touchdown that made it 10-0. At that point, the game wasn't over basically the way this game was going, there was really no way that Green Bay was going to even be able to make up that much ground, even though it was only two scores, the way that they were playing offense and the way the Philly was defended. Great win for Philadelphia. It- Again, if watching Green Bay play offense is just is is hard. It's difficult to watch Green Bay play offense. I'm not even a Green Bay Packer fan, but I can only imagine what the Packer fans are going through and watching this team play offense. This team has way too much talent offensively to only put up 10 points against the 10 points at home. Now, Philadelphia has a very good defense, but this is not the Philadelphia defense of 2024. They're not dominant. They're very, very good, but not this. You should be able to put up at least 20 points, 20 to 23, 20 to 24 points against Philadelphia at home. Back to back weeks where you scored 13 points and 7 points. So they've averaged, the offense the last 2 weeks has averaged 10 points. Think about that, 10 points a game the last 2 weeks at home against Carolina and Philadelphia. And there were plays to be made by Jordan Love that were not made. Um, he had receivers. He had a few misreads, and you can see the frustration from Matt LaFleur at times on the sideline. Um, but I'm here to tell you, a lot of the heat from the Green Bay faithful is geared towards Matt LaFleur, not Jordan Love. So you have a lot of people who are not happy with Matt LaFleur. I heard one podcast say that, and this was a perfect description. Matt LaFleur is not a bad coach, but he's coaching like a bad coach. And I think that just about sums it up. I don't think LaFleur is a bad coach. I've seen, trust me, I've over the course of rooting for the Washington Commanders forever, seemingly for 30 plus years, I've seen bad coaching. And Matt LaFleur. has a tremendous. I'm not there yet with saying, hey, Matt LaFleur needs to go. He has a tremendous win loss record. He has won what, like almost 68% of his games. Playoff record's not great, but there are a number of coaches that don't have great playoff records. Only a handful of coaches in 2025 are have quality playoff records. We're talking about a guy that, you know, at one point in his career won 13 straight games 3 years in a row. He's made the playoffs. This is his 6th year. Been in the playoffs 4 out of 5 years. And got to a couple of conference championships. This has been a he has been a very successful coach, very successful. But right now, offensively, this team looks like they look lost, and there have been too many games. There have been too many games this season where it's like, yeah, they can move the ball up and down the field, but something happens in the red zone, or they have a number of big plays, but they don't play the greatest situational football. They get dumb penalties. Um, I think Jordan Love is a very good quarterback. I think what I don't like out of Jordan Love is when he gets hit, he gets happy feet. He gets happy feet, and it's not hard to take him off his game. Like Jordan Love is kind of reminds me of everything has to be perfect for Jordan Love to seemingly uh to prosper. Like if he gets knocked around early, if you hit him early, he's not going to have a very good day. If he gets an early turnover, probably it's probably a wrap for the night or for the day in terms of his performance. So he does not bounce back well from adversity over the course of a game to be at the level of his talent. His talent, he has all world talent in terms of arm strength, in terms of athletic ability. Based on his talent, he probably should be a top 6 or 7 quarterback. He really should be, just on pure talent. And you look at his numbers; he's having an excellent year, numbers wise. The numbers look fine, but guess what? Situationally, he gets a turnover at the wrong time. Like at the end of the half, that fumble at the end of the half, it should not. Green Bay should have been up 3-0. That's difference in the game. It's 10-10 instead of 10-7. Like that's inexcusable. That fumble he had at the end of the half. You have to protect the football. That was points were at a premium in that game. These defenses were played at a all pro, all world level. Both defenses were spectacular. So even a safety, and all the points matter in that game. Even just a field goal. That was a big fumble. So I don't like how Love handles in game adversity. And I think he's easy to shake. I really think. I think like Green Bay's pass protection in that game, it wasn't great, but it wasn't terrible. He had time to throw the ball at times, and there were throws there to be made. Just didn't do it. Just couldn't make the big throws, enough big throws at key moments, at key times in the game. Like you'll see Jalen Hurts be struggling at different parts of the game, but he will make a big 3rd and 10 throw or a 3rd and 8 throw that could be the difference in the game. Look at this game. I mean, that throw to Devontae Smith, Jalen Hurts was not having a great game himself. He wasn't playing great football. He was getting knocked around, had a fumble early. Listen, perfect example. Had a fumble, um, believe in the first half, and they were driving down. They were driving down the field. That was a big fumble. That was a big fumble at the time. Bounced back and throws a touchdown pass to Devontae Smith, and had a couple of third down conversions. So mentally, Jordan Love is not there where compare as in comparisons to Jalen Hurts. I don't. And I'd be to be honest with you in terms of arm talent. I think Jordan Love has as much talent, has probably more arm talent than Jalen Hurts. To be perfectly honest with you, but it's mentally that is the difference right now with those two quarterbacks. So second straight loss for the Packers. I don't think. Listen, Packers will make the playoffs, but when it comes to the big boys, the Rams, Philly, Seattle, Detroit, they're not on that level. Packers are not. I don't even think the Packers are as good as Tampa Bay to be honest. To be perfectly honest with you, I think the Packers are a team that will get to the playoffs and be one and done. I just don't trust them. Tucker Craft injury, of course, was a big injury, and right now, I just the how they're playing offensive football is just I don't. It's one of those years where you're gonna look back and say, how did they only score this amount of points per game this season with that talent? You'll be shaking your head on how poorly their offense has performed over the course of the season. They're gonna waste a championship caliber season by their defense. Their defense has been great throughout the course of the season. Deep dive around the league. Big time performance. Some big road wins for a couple of teams that are headed in the right direction. Let's begin with the New England Patriots, who were able to take out Tampa Bay in Tampa 28 to 23. They New England right now is 5-0 away from Gillette. They ran the ball for 166 yards. New England ranks top 10 in both offense and defense in terms of yards and points allowed. Um, I, I'm starting to really think that New England can do something in the playoffs. I'm not saying go to the Super Bowl, but win a game or maybe you go further. You have the quarterback, you have the coach, and the AFC is all over the place right now. Like the AFC right now. I know we'll get to Baltimore, but later on. But New England, I've been impressed with New England the last couple weeks in regards to how they handle their business. Now again, I know that they are have a soft schedule, but they just play smart football. You could tell that they are extremely well coached. They rarely beat themselves. They don't get dumb penalties. And when you have a franchise quarterback like Drake May, you're always going to give yourself a chance. That was a big time win to go on the road against a very good Tampa Bay team and really control the game. And they controlled the game. Drake May was not spectacular. Drake May, who is in the MVP conversation, for sure, was pedestrian. He wasn't terrible, but he wasn't like he put up minus numbers. Matter of fact, as we stand here now, uh, Drake May is the second favorite to win the MVP at plus 275 behind Matthew Stafford. The MVP race, you have Stafford, Drake May, Patrick Mahomes, Jonathan Taylor, and Josh Allen. Those are your top five MVP candidates. Darnold is sixth, Lamar Jackson seventh, and so on. So May has been that spectacular this year to be second in MVP by Vegas odds as of right now. So give the Patriots a lot of credit. They play basically mistake free football. They went to Tampa, a tough environment, controlled the game, and were able to come away with the victory. Don't look now, but the Baltimore Ravens are just a game behind the Pittsburgh Steelers as they go to 4-5, 27-19. They have done it with defense. Now, certainly Lamar Jackson coming back is has been obviously major for that team. Of course, they are a completely different offensive team without him. But the reason why Baltimore has got their season on solid footing as of right now, is their defense. Their defense, their last four games only give up 11 points a game. Remember, even the game that they lost, they're 3-1 in the last four. The game that they lost to the Rams have been great offensively. They only gave up 17 points. They forced 11 turnovers. So Baltimore's going to win that division. Remember, I don't trust Pittsburgh. Forget about Cleveland. Forget about Cleveland and Cincinnati. Baltimore's going to win that division. Their schedule coming up is pretty manageable to say the least. They still by far have the best player in that division at the quarterback. And Miles Garrett, of course, is second, but they still have by far the best player in that division right now, especially with Joe Burrow being hurt and Lamar Jackson. So Baltimore is all that is certainly is rolling right now, starting to get healthy, and they will be, they'll be a problem if they get to the postseason, which I think they will. They certainly will be a problem to deal with. Um, this was Separation Sunday to me in the NFL. If I were to come up with a theme, it would be Separation Sunday. Eagles, Rams, Seahawks, and Lions to me have clearly separated themselves as the class not only of the NFC, but maybe even the class of the league. I think if I'm ranking the teams right now, those are the top four teams in football. Now, you can make a case. Uh, you want to make a case for New England or Buffalo being as good as the Lions. You could. I wouldn't argue too. I wouldn't push back too much by that. I wouldn't push back too much on that. But in terms of completeness, in terms of physicality, in terms of the potential, right now those are the four. To me, those are the four top teams in the NFL right now. And they it's going to be the NFC is going to be a bloodbath. Like home field advantage is going to be very important. I think it's going to be very important to get that first seed in the NFL, in the NFC, but in the NFC. Considering I don't think that you want to have to go through two of those teams to get to a possible Super Bowl. Right now, again, we got obviously a whole half of a season left, but right now, of course, Philadelphia is at 7-2, top of the division, 6-1 in the conference. Seattle's right there. Of course, there's a showdown between Seattle and the Rams, who are both Seattle and Rams are at 7-2. So they battle not only they battle for the division, they're battling, of course, for home field advantage. So home field advantage is really when you look at the teams, you really have see one, two, three, four. It's really gonna be a five-team race for home field advantage. I don't think the Bears are a threat for home field. So Philadelphia, Seattle, Detroit, Tampa Bay, and the Rams to me are the five teams that will have a chance to get home field advantage. I think home field advantage is going to be more this year, considering how deep the NFC is up top than what it normally would be in the playoffs. Best of the 21st century. We go back to 2020. No, it seems like a long time ago, but it wasn't that long ago. Nas releases in August of 2020, right in the middle of the pandemic, the first of a six-album run that to me separated him from any artist, any rapper who ever lived. That to me was the beginning of him being solidified the GOAT as far as I'm concerned. I compare it to like Tom Brady, when Brady won Super Bowls in 14, 16, 18 and 20. Tom Brady got those last four Super Bowls. It was no question that he was the GOAT with a total of seven. That's how I look at Nas. He comes out with King's Disease, um, only 38 minutes long, produced by Hit Boy, and really an album that was efficient. It was Nas really, if it was possible, which it is, really maturing and not getting caught up on, I think, trying to keep up with the times as far as the stuff that he was talking about. The features were incredible. You look at the features in this album, right? Charlie Wilson, Big Sean, Don Toliver, Little Dirk, Anderson Paak, Brucey B, The Firm, AZ, Foxy Brown, Fabio Ford, ASAP Fergie. So there was a a nice balance of young and current artists and a touch of nostalgia with the firm and with the firm, but and Charlie Wilson. But this album again, only 38 minutes long. Started out against this triggered a run between these three albums and the three Magic albums that to me took the eyes to an entirely different level as an artist. Which to me did think was possible, considering where he was already at 2020. At the year 2020 already was a legend. Already had established himself as one of the greatest, if not the greatest rapper of all time. But this took him. But he would this stretch of albums, this 6 album run, beginning with King's Disease, just like I said, took him to an entirely different level. And remember where he's at in his career. So this comes out in 2020. His previous 2 albums, Lost Tapes 2 and Nasir, of course, which was produced entirely, only 7 tracks by Kanye West, were not well received albums. Now, Lost Tapes 2 album was not a good album in terms of Nas's standard. I will argue with anyone of the Nasir album. I thought that was an incredible album. I'm not gonna say it was a classic, but I really like that album. I don't understand. I think maybe some of the raft of Kanye West, maybe that uh, jilted a lot of people's opinion on the album based off that. I thought the album was incredible. I thought it was incredibly produced, and I thought that obviously Nas did what he did. I will always stand tall for Nasir, not Lost Tapes. So he's coming off 2 albums that were not well received in between like 2018 and 2019, and to come out with this album at that time and to go on the run that ends up going on, it really, again, I'm not gonna say it solidified. His career was already solidified, but it really added another layer, another chapter to what has already been a one of the great careers of any rap artist of all time. And I think the album, speaks of just the gluttony of just the greed of this country, the greed, you know, the ego of people. It really came at a perfect time, 2020, when we were all sitting down. It really was I think, I mean, it really was an album that if you listen to it the proper way, if you took it in the proper way, it really could be seen as a album that would have you checking yourself. To be honest with you, if you received it the right way, or if you were honest with yourself, it was that type of album. And I think with Nas makes this music. That's what I think about. That's what I love about Nas. He makes fearless music. Um, doesn't make music just for obviously not. He's the first thing from being a commercial artist, even though he's had some commercial success. But he will make an album challenging his audience in a way of not only intelligence, but challenging his audience to look within. And I thought that this album definitely did that. Definitely accomplished that. So, best of the 21st century. Nas's King's Disease again. I recommend a re-listen of that. Again, only 38 minutes. Who won the week? Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor had a spectacular day against the Atlanta Falcons. Over 200 yards rushing, at the highest total this season. And I was wondering. He's like I said, he is right in the middle of the MVP race. He will not win MVP. MVP is a quarterback's award. Either probably Matthew Stafford, or if Mahomes gets hot again and Kansas City starts winning, or maybe even Drake May possibly. But I think Matthew Stafford, Sam Darnold, the quarterback is going to win the MVP award. But Jonathan Taylor right now is has a chance, outside chance of breaking the rushing record for his career. He's at 66 touchdowns, 7,000 yards. He's only 26 years old. He in his sixth year. He is on pace. It is not out of the realms of possibility that he has 10,000 yards and 100 touchdowns. That's right on the table. He's like what 34 touchdowns away from 100 touchdowns, 3,000 yards away from 10,000 yards. Now again, I think he's going to get to 2,000 yards. We know how running backs decline quickly after they reach 2,000 yards at times. We'll see how his career, rest of his career goes after that. But he is on a Hall of Fame track right now. And again, he has missed not a lot of time, but he's missed some games over the course of his career. He's only had one other season where he played all 16 to 17 games. I think when he first came in the league, we were still at a 16 game schedule. Only had 1 year when he's played all 17 games. Um, yeah, again, one of the more, I would say, underrated running backs, maybe one of the more underappreciated running backs. I did not realize that he had totaled up, accumulated this amount of yards and touchdowns. But again, 26 years old, 2 to 3 more years, again, he could be staring at 100 touchdowns and 10,000 yards before you know it. So Jonathan Taylor certainly to me won the week. A couple of real thoughts before I let you go. It's been minus the off the court stuff. We know about the gambling, what happened with Chauncey Billups and have you, and what have you, and David Jones. The on the court product in the NBA has been spectacular this year, to say the least. Couple of things. Detroit's got off to a great start at 9-2. Kay Cunningham had a 46-point game on 45 shots. He's playing like a first team All NBA player right now. Wembanyama has had an interesting start to his season. So in November, right, he gets off to a in November he gets off to an MVP caliber start. Um, pull up his numbers here. As we stand right here, first of all, he's been like, I'm not gonna go crazy about this mini slump he's had. He's still averaging for the season basically 26, 13, and 4 blocks on 50% shooting. But in November, in October, he was 30. He was 30, basically 30, 15, almost 5 blocks on 56% from the field. In the month of November, shot attempts are down, scoring is down, his rebounding is down, uh, field goal percentage is down. So he had a great game on Monday against the Bulls, 38 points, 38, 12, and 5 assists, 5 blocks. Had a big fourth quarter, had like 18 in the fourth quarter, and helped them pull out a win against a pesky and improved Chicago Bulls team. But what I see now is you see teams played him. I see these past couple games that he's initiated offense from too far out, like on the 3 point line. Um, they're putting smaller people on him to try to get under him. Um, it's just like, listen, this is just like with the NBA, right? It's just like baseball with a hitter. You get a hot hitter that gets hot, the pitchers is adjust, counter adjust, counter adjust. It's a chess match. It's a very cat mouse chess match. So we'll see if he and again he will make the adjustment. We'll see what that adjustment looks like. But teams have clearly adjusted to him early on in the season. With what I've noticed with putting smaller people like guards, like you see like Royce O'Neal guard him. We saw at times, a couple times during the Phoenix game, Devin Booker guard him. So we'll see how he adjusts to that. Again, I think the last 3 games he's actually played well. That Houston game on Friday, was just a great basketball game to watch for San Antonio and Houston. That was a high level game. In that game, he had 22, 8, 4, a couple of blocks. Had a big time, had finished the game well. Only 16 shots, 8 of 16 from the field. I thought he actually played well in that game. Then he comes back against New Orleans, only has 18 points, but did have 18 rebounds and 3 block shots. So that's the great thing about him. He can affect the way he can affect the game on more than just scoring. But I want to see how he adjusts with having smaller players on him. I felt like in the first week of the season, the first month of the season, he was punishing smaller guys in the paint with physicality and getting to a spot. Seemingly, this past in the month of November, he has not. It's been harder for him to get to his spots to where he can attack the basket. The closer to the basket, when he's in the paint, he's unstoppable. He gets himself in trouble when he spends time outside of the painted area. That's just a fact. Because at times against Phoenix, against the Lakers, especially the first 2 games of the month, he looked like it looked a lot like his rookie season. As far as Denver and Houston goes, both those teams are playing great offensive basketball. Denver, Jokic, Jokic is Joker. Joker is Joker. Basically, Joker is basically 2025 leads the league in rebounded and is like second for maybe second, leads the league in rebounded and assists, basically 25, 13, and 12, or 64% from the field. Houston right now playing great offensive basketball. Uh, those two teams really, that top of the Western Conference is going to be an absolute bloodbath. Uh, to be honest with you, both those teams are dominating offensively and they're playing very good defense. Both those teams, Houston and Denver, are top 10 defensively. I know Denver has had a soft schedule to say the least. Took advantage, beat lost to they destroyed Golden State without Steph Curry last week. And haven't really played top tier competition, but they look like in terms of balance, in terms of manpower, they look like a completely different team. Joker's shot attempts are down, his scoring is down. That's where he becomes ultra dangerous when he is a facilitator first versus being a scorer. And Houston had a great win a couple of nights ago against Milwaukee. Durant again has been Kevin Durant in terms of finishing games, and they have not lost their physicality, and offensively they look like a completely different team. They still destroy you on the offensive glass, but now they are the number one offensive team as far as offensive rating. So that is their upside. Houston's upside is scary, to be honest with you. And again, the top of that Western Conference is going to be an absolute bloodbath, and definitely looking forward to following both of these teams over the course of the season. That's going to wrap it up for this latest edition of the Real Deal podcast. I will see you next time. Enjoy the rest of your week. So long.